Driving down a lonely road far from the city on a chilly and peaceful evening, Morgan Freeman got lost in. Careful consideration, Morgan stopped trusting his instincts and pulled over to investigate when he saw a man standing menacingly over a weak and emaciated dog. The dog lay helplessly on the ground, its frail legs trembling as it tried to strike, lifting his foot as if to kick the defenseless animal. Morgan took a deep breath, steadying himself as he marched towards a man with purpose. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" He called out, his voice cutting through the stillness of the night. The man froze for a moment, startled, then turned and snapped back. "This dog needs to be put down because it's been wandering around here for days, and is most likely rabid." Morgan's eyes went to the dog, who was lying there in agony, and its terrified eyes were fixed on him. The dread and despair in those eyes seized Morgan's heart, and he turned back to the guy. Morgan said, his piercing eyes meeting the man's, "This creature hasn't done anything to you." His voice was composed but forceful, laced with silent authority. "Who granted you the right to decide this animal's fate? Violence isn't the solution, especially not against something as defenseless as this man." He started to say, "It could be rabid. It might hurt someone," but Morgan interrupted him in the middle of his sentence. "What's killing it?" he questioned, getting up a little. "Did you ever think about lending a hand instead? Perhaps this dog only needs compassion and kindness, not punishment, instead of weakness. It's what makes us human." "Now leave this place, walk away." The man hesitated, caught off guard by Morgan's conviction. His shoulders slumped slightly as he muttered, "All right, fine, your call," before slowly walking away into night. Morgan watched him leave, letting out a deep breath of relief before turning his attention back to the dog. Morgan knelt beside the trembling animal, his voice soft and soothing. "It okay? I'm not going to hurt you," he murmured. The dog flinched at first, shying away, but something in Morgan's tone seemed to calm it. Every shiver in the dog's frail body only deepened Morgan's resolve. He could feel the weight of the animal's loneliness and desperation. "You're not alone anymore," he said gently. "I'm going to help you, I promise." At that moment, Morgan made a decision. No matter the difficulty, he was determined to save this dog and give it the life it deserved. Carefully, he scooped the dog into his arms, feeling its fragile body tremble against him. Carrying it to his car, he placed the dog inside and drove away, the headlights cutting through the darkness of the road ahead. As he drove, one thought echoed in his mind: this is a test of humanity, not just about saving a dog. Morgan picked up his phone and made an urgent call to a neighboring veterinarian facility, explaining the terrible situation, after carefully lifting the terrified puppy into his arms and carrying it to his car. By the time he got there, the dog's condition had gotten worse. Its weak movements and labored breathing made it obvious that time was of the essence. The veterinarian evaluated the dog right away, and her expression changed to one of seriousness. "This dog has severe infections and is malnourished. It's critical that we start treatment immediately," she explained. But as they looked into it more, the veterinarian added that there was a chance it might be rabid, in which case it would need to be without hesitation. Morgan responded, "Do whatever you have to. This animal deserves a chance," as he listened carefully to everything that was said. As the treatment began, the scars of the dog's past suffering became even more apparent. Morgan watched as the veterinarian and her team worked his heart heavy with the realization of how much pain this animal had endured. Quietly to himself, he muttered, "This is more than just a dog, it's a reflection of who we are as humans." After ensuring the dog was in good hands at the clinic, Morgan stepped outside to get some air. The image of the dog's frail and battered body lingered in his mind, refusing to leave him. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath, trying to center himself. But when he opened them, he froze. A familiar face was approaching him. It was the man who had nearly kicked the dog earlier. That evening, the man sauntered over, a smug expression on his face. "What are you doing? Why bother keeping that mutt alive? It's just a stray. Why waste so much effort?" He sneered. His dismissive tone and lack of empathy struck a nerve in Morgan. It wasn't just about the dog. It was about the callousness and indifference that such words represented. After pausing to allow the stillness to lengthen, Morgan spoke steadily and said, "You say it's just a stray, but tell me, does its life mean any less than yours or mine? Is its right to exist any less valid?" The man, shrugging his shoulders, he added carelessly, "It's obvious it's just an animal. Is it really worth risking so much for it?" Morgan took a step closer, his eyes unblinking, and he started off with soothing tone. "But the way we treat animals reveals more about us than it does about them. Using violence is simple. Showing compassion requires genuine courage. That dog you see is worthless. It has endured more than you can fathom, including hunger, abandonment, and abuse at the hands of people just like you. But it is still alive and is still attempting to trust a man. For a brief while, his confidence wavered as he looked down, as if struggling with Morgan's comments. But what if it's Rabid? What if it hurts me or someone else who takes responsibility for that? He said in a gentler but still unsure tone. After taking a long breath, Morgan firmly said, "Yes, it may be sick, but that doesn't mean you should give up and die. Everyone deserves a second chance. As humans, it is our duty to protect those who are unable to defend themselves. If we can't even do that for a dog, what kind of humanity are we exhibiting by defending the man?" Remained, still clearly impacted by what Morgan had said, his eyes briefly locked with his, a glimmer of regret and insight flickering through them. He muttered, in a quiet voice, "Maybe you're right," before turning and leaving his steps tentative and hesitant. Morgan pondered whether his words had actually had the desired effect as he watched them fade into the distance. Sometimes all it takes is the proper words to start a change in someone. He took another deep breath. When Morgan returned to the clinic, he couldn't get the image of the dog's terrified eyes out of his head. However, he also saw a glimmer of hope, and that hope wasn't just for the dog. It was for humanity as well. The veterinarian told Morgan that the dog's condition was improving gradually during the recuperation process, and Morgan realized the dog needed a name. Looking into the tired but hopeful eyes, he chose the name Hope You're Not Just a Dog. "Your story will become a story of hope," Morgan replied quietly. People were moved by Hope's story and started contributing to her recovery, while also demonstrating greater empathy for animals in need after she recovered. Morgan used social media to share Hope's journey through heartfelt posts, recounting the hardships and resiliency of the stray dog in an effort to increase awareness about animal cruelty and the value of compassion. A young child approached Morgan one day while playing with Hope on a farm and asked, "Is this dog yours?" Morgan smiled warmly and said, "No, she belongs to all of us. She's a symbol of love and second chances." Morgan brought Hope to his own farm by welcoming numerous animals like Hope, creating not only a rescue center, but also starting an awareness campaign to inspire others. This tale was not only a fresh start for Hope, but was also a big step in creating a society that is more compassionate and animal-loving. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to our channel if this heartwarming tale resonated with you. Every like and subscription enables us to reach and improve the lives of more animals. Together, let's write more tales of hope.